Céad Míle Fáilte, welcome back to Clancy's Kitchen. We have some very special guests in the kitchen with us today. We have a repeat guest, actually, my own brother, Finbarr Clancy from the High Kings, no less.
Hello.
Yeah, you feel like we should be going, yeah.
No. I'm just used to the applause at this stage.
You're too used to it.
I'm too used to the applause.
There's only 4 of us in the room, so you'll have to do with us. And our cousin Colm Power, known to us always as Collie.
Yeah.
If that's all right with you, is it?
That's all right, yeah.
Or are you too mature now? Do you go by
No, well,
Colm
it started
these
off
days?
Colm Power, Cauliflower. That's what it was called in
Nickname.
primary school. And that's where
Primary
it came
school
from,
nickname.
Yeah.
So just to give a little context here. So Colm is a son of Peg Power, who is the last remaining member, actually, of the Clancy family.
That's right,
and she's got a significant birthday coming up, right? Shortly.
Yeah,
Are
just
we allowed
on
to
the
say?
19th, she'll be 95.
95, God bless her and save her.
She's still very active. She's doing brilliant for her age. She was actually, we were down in the hospital there recently. She had a bit of a chest infection, but she's home now. She's fine. But the nurses were looking at the age, and they nearly did a double take.
I can imagine.
Here, you know?
Yeah. Well, we're hopeful now to get her on the podcast one of these days.
Good luck with that.
We'll get there. So Finbarr and Colm, you grew up together in Carrick-on-Suir. Your first cousins, actually, and you were like peas in a pod.
Oh, yeah.
And now you're peas on a podcast.
Very good. I like the way you did that. Segued nicely into that.
But we might get to the relationship there, because apart from being first cousins, growing up together, and musically the connections there, we might start with you first, Finbarr. You were last on the podcast with us. Jeez, I think it was 2019 or 2020 maybe.
Oh my God.
Anyway, we were in the throes of the COVID-19 pandemic at the time, and I remember you telling us everything came to a standstill. So you were in the States. Concerts were cancelled and all of that. But the High Kings obviously have gone from strength to strength since that. So tell us a little bit, the highlights of the last 100 years.
Well, once the COVID restrictions were lifted and we were back touring, it felt like we're starting all over again. There was a great sense of excitement. Going to play for audiences, it felt like for the first time all over again, really, you know?
Yeah.
And of course, everyone was so excited to see live music and hear live music that it was just very exciting. It was kind of a renewed exuberance and enthusiasm, I suppose, on behalf of everyone involved.
Yeah.
When we recorded an album, The Road Not Taken, with some acts that normally do kind of rock and pop kind of things, but had kind of taken upon themselves on the downtime and to see if they could write some Irish folk songs. And then we did our interpretation of what they came up with. And that was very successful.
So who were some of those artists?
We had Sharon Core from the Cores was playing a violin tune that we recorded. There was also Codaline. Who else was there? There's loads of bands.
You did something with Sharon Shannon, I think, as well, did you?
Oh, that was a previous album.
That was a
previous album,
yeah. Sorry, I don't keep up with you.
No, the script as well, yeah. The script also had a song,
good.
yeah.
And you've broken Australia.
We have been to Australia
once or twice.
Twice, we've been twice, and we're going for a third time now in September. September 25, we'll be back over there again.
I remember the last time you were on, you were telling us about meeting Barack Obama and.
Oh yeah, it was the things you get to do in this. You have to pinch yourself sometimes because you'd never in any other job get an opportunity to do some of the things you get to do in this. And traveling to Australia as well for the first time, I was really taken back. It's this beautiful country, and it's just a beautiful way of life, and the work-life balance and all that is just, they have it.
And I'm thinking as well, our Auntie Hilda is a big fan of the show. She always watches the podcast, and of course she's a big fan of the High Kings.
That's it.
And I'm just thinking, that far away from home, like America's far, but Australia is so much further again.
It is.
How much more it must mean to people like the Irish diaspora when you go out there.
It does, and it was, the first time we went over, it was, obviously lot of Irish young kids who were over there. What do I call them kids? they're in their 20s, but they're kids to us, So there was lots of that, lots of younger people coming along, and they still came along the second time, but it was a good few Australians actually came along. I'd say more Australians came along, a lot more. Probably half and half. But when
you say Australians, though, Australians are made up of every single nation, aren't they?
Well, Australian, Irish.
What you mean is not necessarily
people who were born and raised in Ireland. Let's say who moved over. So either Australian Irish or just Australians, probably Australian Irish mostly. Yeah. that would have grown up with the music. But yes, it'll be interesting to see now in the third time. Might be all Australians.
And come here, does anyone come up to you and mention the Clancy Brothers all the time?
All the time, almost every night. Almost every single night.
And what would they request? What kind of songs would they mostly request?
Well, normally what happens is that we'd meet people after the concerts when we're signing T-shirts or CDs, which are a thing of the past now. You don't really.
Do people buy CDs?
People still buy CDs.
Do they?
They do, but I mean, the cars. If you buy a car now, it won't even have a CD player in it.
No.
So it's like, I suppose they just have it, maybe just to support the band.
Yeah.
Something, I don't know. Yeah. But they do. They buy, and we also brought back the old records as well. We printed up some records. They're flying it.
But that's making a comeback, isn't it?
It is.
The whole
vinyl,
thing with vinyl is kind of making a comeback.
It's coming back. So people do that. They sign all the things. We sign the things. We have a conversation, and 9 times out of 10, someone will say, "I knew all these songs from growing up. My father, my grandparents used to have the Clancy Brothers albums. I was at every family get together, or Christmas and stuff like that.
Yeah,
we'd have all these songs, and we sing together, and any family get together, we'd sing these songs. So we grew up listening to.
Incredible.
So it's a nostalgic kind of thing.
Yes,
it really
absolutely.
is. Yeah.
And how it appealed to generations. Like
it's
kids.
multi-generational, and you'd find that at the concerts as well. You'd find everything from grandparents down to toddlers, coming to some of the concerts across all the generations, which is lovely because it's really a testament to the music and the songs. And oftentimes, I won't get too deep here, but sometimes I think we are but mere vessels. The songs have come and gone, and I suppose it's your interpretation of what you do with the song.
Yeah.
When you have it, we're just passing the songs on to the next generation. They've been passed on to us.
Yeah.
But
Glún, as they say, from knee to knee. Yeah. It's not lovely.
Yeah, it is. It's lovely.
Brilliant. Lovely.
So it's kind of whether it's the Clancy Brother angle or whether it's just the songs, you get multi-generations coming along to the concerts and buying the albums and stuff. So,
it's fabulous. Well done. You're still going strong and a long way to go yet.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So, Colm, you now, as well as being very musically inclined, you're also very much into the drama. And we talk a lot about the fact here that the Clancys were very much into pieces of drama and acting. Of course, the boys, when they went out to the States to begin with, wanted to be actors. So that's very much in our blood as well. And Colm, 'tisn't off the stones you licked it, as they say, because your mother was such an amazing actress as well and singer. But as well as the music, you're very heavily involved in the Brewery Lane Theatre Company in Carrick-on-Suir as a director and an actor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I suppose in terms of where I got it from, I suppose, it was my mother's first love, even though she did a lot of singing with Bobby, with your own father there back in the 60s and that. But she kind of gave up that really, and acting was her first love, I think, and she was a fabulous actress. I remember seeing her in Tom Murphy's play Baile Gungoira.
That's right.
She actually won the All-Ireland Best Actress Award for that. But it was an unbelievable piece of theatre. It was absolutely beautiful. I remember thinking, I was very young at the time now, but I remember thinking, this fella's going to be remembered like Shakespeare or something. It was that,
Didn't she get offers to go to the West End and everything after
Well,
that?
she did. She was offered when she was very young. Paddy offered to pay for her to go to New York to see if she wanted to, but she was more of a home bird. And she was asked, I remember it really struck me, she was asked, she did a bit of professional work then later on when she was in her maybe late 50s, early 60s and that. She did a bit, toured with the theatre and was on in Fair City and stuff.
So Fair City, for people who don't know, is a very famous soap opera, I suppose you'd say, in Ireland, on RTE, yeah.
But she was asked, do you ever regret not doing it? And I thought she gave a great answer. She said, I don't, because I wouldn't have got to play all those good parts. Yeah. If you were a professional, you're fighting for every single part. You might get a couple of lines here and there. Whereas if you're doing it in the amateurs stage, you get all these fabulous parts that she was able to play. And, I think it's a really good point.
Yeah. And you're not too bad yourself now, Colm.
It's come along
all
nicely.
right,
So you just finished a run of, I believe it was Pinter, is that right?
We did a Pinter. We did just one act play, The Dumb Waiter, and then we did a couple of his review sketches. And yeah, we sold out Pinter for 8 nights, which is no mean feat.
It wouldn't be everyone's cup of tea.
It's very divisive. You either love it or you hate it. You know, but like,
could you give us? You wouldn't give us a little taste of it?
I can't remember any of the lines. Right?
Go
you
away
put me
out
on
of
the
that.
spot now. It was only
Can you remember the pauses?
The pauses, yeah, lots of pauses, yeah, lots of
Pinter
pauses.
pause.
And you know, well, we didn't. You know, when you're in it, like there is a certain logic to it. But you'd really want to see the play about 10 times to kind of get
really
it,
get it.
or be in the play nearly to get the kind of little connections, all the little
Yes.
connections Pinter does. But yeah, but
You
kind
did
of-
a fabulous. Well, you directed a play last year that myself and Raylan saw, The Seafarer.
That's right, yeah,
by
yeah.
Conor
McPherson.
Conor McPherson.
He also did
what a
also
play!
Did, he also did The Weir as well. Yeah.
Yes.
that was very that
And
was
so
very
well cast. So our cousin actually, Liam Butler,
who directed
who's our
directed
father-
the Pinter.
He directed Pinter, did he?
yeah.
So Liam played a part in The Seafarer, and Liam, again, just to give context, is a son of our aunt Joan, who was Daddy's
right,
twin.
yeah.
Great actor and singer. As
Yeah,
well.
it was actually when
Who else? We better mention who else was in it, because it was a small cast.
in The Seafarer.
In The Seafarer.
Yeah, there was Barry Comfort, there was Neil Burke, there was Liam Wells, who hadn't acted for a long time, came back and did a brilliant job, and then Wattie Dunphy.
Of course. And the direction, Collie, was incredible. I
thanks
remember
very
sitting
much.
there going, I could be in the Abbey Theatre here. It
Well,
was just so well done.
We're just so lucky, really, in the brewery because you know they had the foresight back in the 70s. John Denby, in particular, that the theatre itself was an old rowing club where they used to store boats. So they bought it for half nothing. Well, it's a dilapidated brewery, really, originally, but they bought it for very cheap, and then they gradually over the years turned it into an actual theatre.
Yeah.
But it's so great to have it as a rehearsal space, and there's so many things going on there now. But if you think of all the amateur groups that were in all the towns over all in the country, how many of them have their own theatre? You know, and it was just the look and the foresight that they have, and as a result, now it's really even since COVID, I think audiences are just mad to go to things. You know,
Can I just jump in there, Collie, and say we went to the Conor McPherson play, as you said, Roisin. And I remember seeing The Weir for the first time as well in the Gate. I believe.
in the Gate with Francis
And
McDormand.
I'm not just saying this.
No, not Francis McDormand. Sorry, that was
No,
another
that
play I'm
was
thinking of.
Blanche Dubois,
Yeah,
Tennessee Williams. But I'm not just saying this, but the brewery's level, and I've worked as a professional actor, and considering people are amateurs by name, i.e. they're working in the day and rehearsing and performing at night, is exceptional. I think it is so rare to see that level of professionalism and talent
thank you
in
very
an
much.
amateur setting.
It's a beautiful space as well because it's only it seats about 80. So
It's very intimate. It's an intimate
so you
space.
don't have to project your voice really, so it's very natural. Then the conversation can be very natural, you know.
We might say, I'm just looking at you now with the instruments on your laps and thinking, it'd be lovely to bring a song in here, and maybe we'll get back to talking about the brewery after that.
Well,
as you're ready to go.
Absolutely, yeah.
So give us something. Well, tell us what are you doing? What song are you doing?
We were always, I suppose, coming from a musical family, we kind of gravitated towards music always, and we always had sing songs and stuff like that. We grew up learning the guitar, but at the same time, and I remember the big leg up colleague had was that he learned out of a book how to play the chord F, which was a bar chord. But because he learned it, and I learned it the other way, where you use the index finger to cover two strings, he could do all the bar chords and stuff like that. And that was a huge thing because that opened up a whole new world, and it took me a few years to catch up. But once I learned bar chords, then everything was grand. But once I learned bar chords, then we started going off and performing in local bars around Carrick.
Yeah.
And I suppose, look, we went into Clegg's, Cooney's now it is.
Yeah.
And
This is on the main street.
on the main
Carrick,
street in Carrick and Shore.
with your bar chords.
With our bar
Which is
chords.
I never got beyond
Fresh.
G, C, and D myself, so that's.
With our bar chords fresh out of the book. we
Notions.
Set off, yeah, with notions. We set off with notions.
We have bar chords in the bar.
Exactly. But then we got together a set list of songs that we liked, that we thought other people would like. Turns out no one liked him except us. No, they did like him.
Well, I don't know about that.
They did. No, we threw in the stalwarts and with the songs that we
had
knew
a lot of
people would-
obscure ones.
But we had some obscure Donovan, Donovan Leach songs thrown in.
Yeah.
So a lot of raised eyebrows in Clegs at the time.
Rocky Raccoon.
And Beatles stuff, Bob Dylan stuff, and especially Neil Young actually.
Right.
So I think the song.
I remember you adapting. There was an ad on the telly for Flake chocolate.
Oh yeah, the crumbliest Flake chocolate.
Holy
Yeah,
crumbliest.
we did,
I don't know
yeah.
if you did that at your gigs.
Oh, we did it in the
we
Mooney's,
do-
down the
we used
Mooney's
to do
pub
the
here.
Mooney's, yeah.
We were just talking about it on the way down. We got some mileage out of that song. It was some crack, yeah. It was brilliant. But we thought,
And Cadbury's Flake never offered you a free
No,
bottle
we
of
didn't.
Flakes,
It
no.
was a
we
bit,
thought we'd get free Cadbury flakes for the rest of our life. We didn't get anything.
So what did you call yourselves in those days?
Oh,
didn't
we
really
had
have a
so many
name, did we?
names. We had
Well,
so
we
many
had
names.
that was more of the band. We lot of it.
Was this the two of you now?
This was
Or
just the two.
Just the two of you at that
Then
stage?
later on, we
It's kind of
kind of got into the rock.
We got into rock stuff.
So we got David Doherty, poor God rest
Yeah.
him soul, he died
Yeah.
there last year, but he was the drummer.
And a
And
fabulous drummer he was.
Fabulous
We were
drummer,
three
yeah.
piece, so we were. Matt, we wanted to be rock stars then at that stage. But,
Once you mastered the bar chords.
Was it?
yeah.
Done
We
at
were
Cadbury's.
great. We were brilliant at rehearsing, but we weren't great at getting to gigs.
No.
It was so difficult back then when you think about it. Like, I mean, we had no money to invest
Yeah, we had no
in
money, yeah.
in the band. Like,
No.
you know what I mean? So I remember we got a gig up in Dublin. Someone got us a gig
Yeah.
up in Dublin. We brought up the drums on the bus.
Yeah.
Like, that was the way it was.
We brought up I remember that. We got it was a gig in the Mean Fiddler we got, and I remember
good
it was
gig.
a great gig to get, and I remember I phoned every single person I knew in Dublin, and we got about 80 people to come along and see a gig, and it must have been a Monday night or a Tuesday. It was midweek anyway. And they were very impressed. They said, "Oh, that's great. You can come back next." Of course, there was no money. It was just you got to play there.
Yeah.
And then it was like, "Okay,
Exposure,
well,
as they
exposure,
say.
yeah." And next thing it was like, "Okay, well, you can come back again next week." And maybe you'll get a bigger crowd. And I phoned up all the other people, and no one answered the phone. They were like, "Oh no, we did you the big favor now."
I didn't mean
That's it.
taking the drums
That's
on the
it,
bus
yeah.
again, on bus
Exactly,
errand.
yeah. Exactly.
All right, so this
Anyway.
is...
This is "Tell Me Why," one of the first songs, Neil Young songs we learned how to play, and we were very, I suppose, into harmonies as well. I suppose Simon and Garfunkel as well, that kind of style, really. So believe it or not, I used to sing high harmony, and we sing this in a lot higher key back then. So I'm going to sing, Collie's going to sing the main part, and I'm going to do the high
Lovely.
harmony, and the song called "Tell Me Why."
Lovely.
Sailing hardships through broken harbors, out in the waves in the night. Still the searcher must ride the dark horse, racing along in his fright. Tell me why. Tell me why. Is it hard to make arrangements with yourself when you're old enough to repay but young enough to sell? Tell me lies later, come and see me, I'll be around for a while. I am lonely, but you can free me, all in the way that you smile. Tell me why. Tell me why. Is it hard to make arrangements with yourself when you're old enough to repay but young enough to sell? Tell me why. start to make arrangements with yourself. When you're old enough to repay, but young enough to sell.
Absolutely gorgeous. Hi there, everyone. We hope you're enjoying listening to and watching Clancy's Kitchen, the podcast, as much as we love making them. And in order to continue making the podcasts into the new year, we'd really value your support. And you can do this by checking out Patreon/Clancy's Kitchen, where you'll have access for as little as €5 a month to all kinds of stories and songs and other bonus material going on there as well. So thank you very much for all your support, for all the lovely comments that we're getting in, and we hope you continue to watch Clancy's Kitchen, the podcast, and continue to support us. Take care. Gurv Mila Mahagoif. Jesus, you're in great voice. Really, really nice.
Thank you.
As you were singing there, actually, because you mentioned Neil Young, I went and got a picture off the wall there. This was taken back in 1992 at Bob Dylan tribute concert in Madison Square Garden.
That's right, yeah.
So I don't know if you can get the camera on that, Rayland. Which way to go? I'm not sure. That way.
Neil Young, Dylan.
So there he is.
Yeah.
Neil Young there. There's Bobby on top. Liam. No, Paddy. Liam. Robbie, our cousin Robbie O'Connell. I think is Tommy Makem in there.
Yeah.
Tommy Makeham's beside.
Oh, yes.
Paddy
Yeah.
there.
And the man himself, of course.
There's Bob Dylan, there's Lou Reed, there's Ronnie Wood,
Yeah.
Neil Young, and I don't know who that is.
Tracy Chapman.
It was Tracy Chapman, yeah.
Yeah. It was a great night. So, yeah, fabulous song.
Gráinne was at, or Roshan was at it, since Gráinne was at it.
You
were at the concert
and
yourself and
Aoife,
Aoife,
the two of us.
That was the night that Sinead O'Connor got booed as well, was it?
Yeah, very nice, yeah. Yeah, it was some atmosphere. And then I was thinking as you were singing there as well, and just to bring Rayland in here, I remember the three of you in Dublin at one point. It was that time in Dublin where they were building all these kind of little tiny apartments that you couldn't swing a cat in. I remember yourself and Gráinne were in Temple Bar.
Yeah.
And Rayland and I were, where were we? Bowlane West.
Kilmainham.
In Kilmainham, yeah. And Collie, at that time, you were in and out as well.
South Circular Road or something.
Is that where you were? Yeah.
Very plush apartment.
you were the other side of the river. You weren't as plush as us. But I remember there was talk of a boy band. And before ever there was a boy band. Right, yeah. Is that right? Is that fair to say?
Well, I wouldn't say we were boys as such.
Man band
with
a bold boy band.
Yeah, Shea Healy, yeah.
Shea Healy.
Late Shea Healy.
Okay, so Shea Healy, God rest him, he was kind of a producer or what?
Or
he was a songwriter. Personality. He wrote, of course, the song that won the Irish Eurovision with Johnny Logan, What's Another Year? Yeah. And he wrote many, many songs. He had many talents, Shea Healy. And he had this idea, right, of getting a boy band together. And you three, including you, Rayland, we were living in Dublin at the time. It was your introduction to Dublin. You had just finished a play in the Peacock Theatre, hadn't
come
you?
out to the Peacock.
Yes, darling. Yes.
Boy band.
But wasn't he he was far-sighted really in a way, because at the time then the folk the ballads rather than folk I should say weren't really popular. Yeah. You know, they kind of had their heydays in the 60s or whatever. This was probably the 90s, was it?
Yeah. It was late 90s, yeah.
And you know,
he said, I remember him saying
the ballads are going to make a comeback. The ballads are going to make a comeback. But he was proven right.
And so who was Shea Healy? Who else was involved in that? Was Louis Walsh involved or not?
No, I don't think so. I think
Shea Healy really just recorded a couple of demos. He paid for recordings.
One of them being
Rashers and Sausages.
Stop now.
Classic.
I knew she was going to go there.
Come on, no, come on. Give us. Okay, so this was a song at the time that was going to make you all rich overnight, and it was. I'm throwing you into it now. It was called Rashers and Sausages, written by Shea Healy,
Written
wasn't
by
it?
Shea Healy. Yeah,
All
he
right,
was kind of doing
I remember a bit of
funny
this,
songs
actually.
kind of thing. You know, music songs.
What did we
Can't
have?
remember the.
What did you have with the late breakfast?
Was that the key?
Yeah, I'll try to do it in F. I think.
Raylan, you don't have your mandolin there, do you? Do you want to? Why don't you hop in here and just? I'll go over there.
You remember?
G, yeah. Oh, what did you have for the late breakfast?
Rashes and sausages, rashes and sausages. What did you have for the tea? Rashes and sausages, rashes and sausages. What did you have for the tea? Dinner, rashes and sausages. Is that all you have a day? With appetite of the strawberry jam, country butter and tea in the hand.
And the chorus went,
Rashes and sausages, 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 rashes and sausages. Rashes and sausages, rashes and sausages, rashes and sausages, rashes and sausages. The country butter and tea in the hand.
how are you fixed for biscuits? Was the end of it.
Oh, I
Do
forgot
you know
that
what?
one.
He wasn't far wrong. It was a great little song.
Oh, gosh.
Well, yeah. It was different. Maybe it was too
fun.
different.
It was a fun
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
Okay, so take us through then from the times in Carrick and you had a gig in the Mean Fiddler. Where did it go from there? Talk us through.
All went downhill from there. No, I remember, like as Collie said earlier on, we started off as a 2-piece, and then I remember playing in Dungarvan. Actually, I mean, this is just starting off, and we said, okay, we need to add something to our sound. So we were friends with David Doherty, and we said we'll get David in, and we said even if we got him percussion. So we went off and we bought these 2 bongos stuck together. And got a load of sellotape and 2 mic stands and just wrapped it all around the 2 bongos and the 2 mic stands and played. But there was one fatal flaw we didn't realise. There was a very thick wooden beam right over Davy's head. And at the end of one particular song, at the end of the night, when he got extremely excited, he hopped up in the air and
as
and he
most
creased
drummers
himself.
do.
He hopped up and there was an awful crash back and forth. He was playing the bongos with one hand for the rest of the night after that because he had the other hand over his head.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but it was, I remember carrying the drums up the stairs, and the band were probably going about 10 years at this stage, and my father turned around to me saying, are you going to actually play any concerts outside of the bedroom? He said to me.
We loved rehearsing. We loved
It was the music he loved, actually.
And we loved writing. And we wrote all. It was all
Original songs.
Original songs.
Yeah.
But so we'd kind of
rehearsed for 10 years.
10 years. We got really good.
We were really good, yeah.
In your bedroom.
Yeah,
but we just hadn't. We hadn't the initial startup capital.
Yeah, we didn't have
Yes.
capital.
Yeah. That's always the problem with artists, isn't it? Artists of all over the world is having that business acumen to kind of.
Yeah.
There's all the talent and all the ability and the
all the energy went
enthusiasm,
into the music rather than into the.
Yes.
We needed
I have a little story actually.
Go
about,
on, tell us a story.
Actually, the same thing we we're just talking about didn't have the know-how or anything like that. But I remember sending off a cassette tape with, handwritten and biro all the songs and who they're written by and little note and where it was recorded and all this. And we sent it into Liffey Records. And Dad said to me, send it to Liffey Records. Because he knew that Dave Kavanagh, who ran Liffey Records, had worked with Liam, or Uncle Liam, and Tommy. And Morris Cassidy, he's worked for Morris Cassidy.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And Dave worked for him, and he knew the lads well. So I sent it in anyway, and he agreed to meet me, and he asked me to come into the office, and we sat down, we had a chat. And he said to me, just to let you know, he said, in like any other business, the product that you show to people is a reflection of how seriously you take the whole business. Mm-hmm. And he held up our little cassette tape with a handwritten thing. And then he held up like what looked like something you just bought in a record store, which was the CD, graphics, the whole lot, everything printed. Mm-hmm. He goes, this is what you sent me, holding up the cassette tape. This is what I normally get sent. Yeah. Okay. He said, so the only reason we're having this conversation is kind of because I know your uncle and I'm giving you a friendly nod in the right direction.
Well, we hadn't the money.
We
just hadn't. We hadn't the money to.
We
get
didn't have
the
it.
CD.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, but it seems unfair, doesn't it? Because a true artist.
It's very easy to record now. You can record in your bedroom on a computer, but then it was like very expensive to to get a good.
You had to go into professional studio.
You really nearly had to get signed so that they could pay for the studio time.
So you did the best that you could with, what you had.
We were kids. I mean, we didn't have any money.
We recorded a little studio in Cons Park in Carrick. Desi Carson.
Yeah,
he was kind of a country singer, and he had this lovely little studio. Brilliant. Now we really loved it.
Yeah, he was lovely.
But we could only put it onto tape. To get it onto CD, that was a whole process we didn't know anything about.
But even before that, we had a 4-track Porta 1.
That's right.
That's where we recorded a lot of the early stuff. So whereby you had 4 tracks. Up in the attic. You'd record 3 tracks and then you'd mix them and then bounce them onto the 4th track and then wipe those 3 tracks and then do 2 tracks and then bounce it onto one more and kind of do it that way.
But hold on a minute now. Didn't you make it onto the Late Late Show? Something's coming back to me.
We did.
Here.
No, it wasn't the Late Late.
No, it wasn't. It was Lifelines.
Oh, Lifelines. Okay. How did that come about then?
What happened was they were doing a program with the Clancy Brothers and music and the Clancy Brothers. And the next thing, we were in a band and they said, okay, the next generation now is also playing. I had long hair down past my chin.
I wish we had a clip of that.
It's on YouTube.
We might try and get a clip.
It's on
see
YouTube,
what I can do.
It's on YouTube, yeah.
Long hair, bellhead from
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
So that would have been 90 or even, was it still
90,
the 80s?
Oh, it was 90. No,
was it the
90,
80s?
Maybe 92, 3, something like that.
It was,
Okay.
but 93, I'd say.
Yeah.
But 93.
So the long hair was all in vogue.
And the funniest thing about it is that when we were on it, at the end, remember that? At the end of it.
Yeah, it was pre-recorded.
It was
and I was in the audience.
And Collie was in the audience. So
it flashed to me in the audience, even though I'd just been up on stage sitting.
as Collie's there, we finished the song and he's smiling. And next thing it cuts to the audience and Collie's sitting in the audience clapping for himself.
I was not clapping.
Maybe he wasn't clapping. He wasn't clapping, but he was in the audience. And then it goes back to himself and was like, thank you.
I was very good, if I say so
My little
myself.
twin brother.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Right, lads, you're going to do another tune for us.
Yeah.
What do you have?
Mrs. McGrath. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about
Tell
this
us
and what it
Tell
means
us
to you. Come on. What it means to you.
But this would have been our grandmother's
Yes.
kind of party piece.
And the guitar as well.
Yeah. So this the guitar is that's a kind of different story. But the song Mrs. McGrath was kind of, I think it was written back in sometime in the 1800s, but it was kind of an anti-war song, which was unusual at the time because war was kind of glorified, you know. And so this was one of the first kind of real anti-war songs. So it's a story of the son coming home without any legs, and, you know, and the mother very upset and all that. But that's Mrs. McGrath. Sure, and they used to like back in the Clancy household in William Street. It was always a sing song. They'd have a chat in the evenings, and then of course there was no television or barely the radio at the time. And the whole social gathering was everyone did their piece. And Mammy Clancy, as she was known, used to insist that everybody said something or sang something. And I suppose as a result, you know, when you think of the Clancys or Peg around, they were used to playing in front of people. Mm-hmm. They were used to performing, you know. Mm-hmm. So even from at home, and I'm sure that really stood to them then, you know.
In a very natural way.
In a very
because
natural
as you said,
way,
Collie, it was a case of this was long before televisions or anything else. And they'd entertain themselves by telling stories and singing songs.
But her maiden name was McGrath, so this is why she...
Was that our party piece or something?
Party piece, yeah.
This is
our grandmother, Johanna McGrath.
The Clancy Brothers' mother.
Yeah.
Johanna McGrath's party piece, Mr. McGrath.
Lovely.
Oh, Mrs. McGrath lived near the seashore for the space of 7 long years or more. When she spied a ship coming over the sea, 'tis my son Teddy, will you clear the way? Wish your ring dong da, fuddle diddle da, ring dong daddy, wish your ring dong da. Oh, Teddy landed without any legs, and in their place were 2 wooden pegs. And when she'd kissed him a dozen or 2, singing blood now Teddy, can this be you? Wish your ring dong da, fuddle diddle da, ring dong daddy, wish your ring dong da.
Oh, Ted de Gra, were you drunk or blind when you left your 2 fine legs behind? Or was it coming across the sea? You threw your 2 fine legs away.
Wish your ring dong da, fuddle diddle da, ring dong daddy, wish your ring dong da. Oh no, I was not drunk or blind when I left my 2 fine legs behind. But a cannonball on the 4th of May, they swept my 2 fine legs away. Wish a ring-dong-da, ring-a-ding-a-da, ring-dong-daddy, wish a ring-dong-da.
Oh, Ted de Gras, why weren't you cute and run away from the Frenchman's shoot? 'Tisn't my son Ted that's in it at all, because he'd run from a cannonball. With your ring-dong-da,
Faddle-diddle-da, ring-dong-daddy, wish a ring-dong-da. Now foreign wars I do proclaim between Don Juan and the King of Spain. By heavens, I'll make them rue the time they swept the legs from a child of mine. Wish a ring-dong-da, faddle-diddle-da, ring-dong-daddy, wish a ring-dong-da, wish a ring-dong-da, faddle-diddle-da, ring-dong-daddy, wish a ring-dong-da.
Lovely, God.
It's a nice song,
God,
isn't it?
it's lovely,
It's a beautiful
isn't
song,
it?
yeah.
I was
It
back in
brings me
Cleggs
Oh, yeah, yeah.
25 years ago.
Exactly, yeah.
You know.
And as you were saying, Finbarr, earlier, how songs pass down through the generations. When you think they used to sing that back in the original Clancy's Kitchen
I
back
think
in the day.
Bruce Springsteen, I think, did a version of it.
Really?
Yeah, on one of his
Oh, I'd
albums.
love
He
to
did a
hear
kind
that.
yeah. Now, I think he changed the words, are not the same, but it's
Yeah.
called Mrs. McGrath anyway.
Well, it's like with a lot of these songs, there's loads of different versions, isn't
Exactly,
there? You
yeah,
go
they-
start singing with someone else that have sort of different lyrics
course,
to
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So, Collie, before the song, you were going to tell us something about the guitar you're playing.
Yeah, this guitar is bought by Diane Hamilton in Spain for my mother back in 1950-something. But, so... well, what's interesting actually, because I was in college. I went back and did a music degree in college. But part of the music degree in the final year, we had to do a kind of a thesis thing. So I said I'd take the easy way out and pick it on my own, do it on my own family. So I did it on Mam and Bobby and their kind of singing career. But what I felt, I said just when I knew I was doing the podcast, I had it at home. I said I'd have a look over it. But when Bobby joined the RAF, I think it was 1945, and he went to Greece for a year.
Yeah.
And he had heard the Greek folk songs and they were accompanied by guitars.
He used to sing them sometimes, Finbarr.
Yeah,
do you
he
remember?
actually learned the words
Yeah,
of some
the
of them as
lyrics,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
No brassi, no massi, no lebro.
There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah. So he came back anyway. Anyway, they worked, himself and another uncle of mine on my father's side. They were great friends, Noel Power, and he was told me all this information. But they had worked in after they demobbed. They worked in London. They were
During the underground.
Yeah, during the underground to save the £40 to get the fare for the trip to Canada. But anyway, before
It was £40 in those days
£40,
to
yeah,
get the boat.
The boat, yeah, the ship,
wasn't
yeah.
it?
The boat, yeah, there was no airplanes
from England.
From England to Canada.
Yeah, this was late 40s. Like wasn't even the 50s, but I think it was about
From
1950.
Liverpool, probably.
Yeah,
was it,
probably
Canada,
went from
yeah.
there, or Cove maybe or somewhere. But he got a guitar and he started a few months while they were waiting to go over to Canada. He started learning the guitar. But I kind of nearly had a theory that he was one of the first to actually accompany Irish singing with the guitar. Before that, it wasn't done. You know, the ballads were all sung unaccompanied. I remember Mum telling me like that there used to be another Aunt Mary Jo, who would have been Hannah McGrath's sister. They had a house just up on Pill Road there in Carrigaline, and they were kind of in from the country, so there used to be a lot of dances there. But they used to dance for Lancers, and they were always, a fiddle and an accordion. But any of the singing was all unaccompanied.
All the ballads even. Yeah.
All the ballads, all the singing they were done slow.
And was that because people didn't have instruments at hand?
It just wasn't.
or-
It wasn't a tradition. The guitar was never part of the Irish tradition.
Yeah, I wonder when the guitar started becoming part of the
When
Irish.
Bobby started it.
You reckon that was true?
Yeah, I think so.
That's
Anyway,
amazing.
Because
Yeah,
then in
yeah.
Greece that they'd sing all the Greek songs,
The Greek
and
songs,
they did
they
accompany
had the
themselves on
guitar on the
nylon string guitar.
Yeah.
So they'd accompany themselves when they're singing. So he went, well, why don't we accompany
Exactly.
ourselves on guitar in Irish singing?
yeah.
Wow.
And then
So
it was
he's one of the
like
first
if you think of it in the ballad boom in the 60s, like even before that there was no guitar singing, and I presume Liam heard Bobby doing it and then learned the guitar himself.
yeah. Because even
You
I'm
learn
thinking
something every day.
Yeah,
Don't you?
I think.
It's
Because
so
even when
Now,
you
I'm
think
sure
of
there
it-
was some people who did it. It wasn't the very first, maybe, but it was definitely the first to make it popular, I think,
Because even the mandolin, where did the mandolin originate from? I wonder.
Yeah, that was they're kind of Eastern Europeans.
and the bouzouki, of course, is Greek.
Well, the bouzouki, that was
Greek,
all kind of introduced then by Andy
Irvine.
Irvine. He went to Bulgaria and heard all those Bulgarian rhythms.
Yeah.
He brought, and then that
as well.
Yeah, that influenced Clancy then.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it?
So there's all little
Because Bob Dylan famously said, "Hey man, I heard Bobby Clancy's accompanying himself on a guitar," and he did it then.
So they're only
Simon and
copying
Garfunkel
us
as well.
on it.
But this was back 1950. I mean, this was a good 10 years before the real folk revival. Like I mean, Elvis was only late 50s.
Yeah.
So like.
Yeah. Joan was on the last podcast and she was talking about as a young girl growing up in Dungarvan and in the local record shop. I can't remember who the owners were, but she said in the window of the record shop there was Elvis's Blue Hawaii, was it?
Blue Hawaii,
And the Clancy Brothers. I can't remember which album of the Clancy Brothers. And at one point, and I didn't say this then, but I thought about it since, didn't the Clancy Brothers overtake Elvis at one point in the charts?
They did, yeah. They sold more albums in one particular year. Yeah, they did, yeah.
There you go.
Hard to believe it.
So
Probably
do you
for
know an
about 2
Elvis
minutes.
song, lads?
An Elvis song, we do, That's all I know.
All you need is 3 chords. No bar chords
That's
needed.
it, yeah.
Exactly.
God, so Collie, we were talking there, and I think it's important to mention as well, we were talking about Brewery Lane, and sadly, just as of yesterday, we lost a long-standing member of the Brewery Lane Theatre Company, Tom Nealon. Wondering if you'd like to say a few words about Tom and his contribution to Brewery Lane.
Where do you start with Tommy? Tom really was a bit of a genius, really. He was a fantastic man. He was a teacher in Carrick for all his life. He arrived. Actually, my mother telling me the first time he was from Ennistimon in Clare originally, and he got off the train and he was walking to the park, and there was a big fist fight in the middle of the park between two kind of gangs or whatever. And he said, "God, I'm not going to stay in here long," but he ended up staying all his life there. But he taught in the school, but he
Did he teach? Because both of you, of course, went to the Green School.
He taught Finbarr.
He taught me
He
for
didn't
2
teach
years,
me when
yeah.
I was in a different
He gave up
class,
shortly after.
I
He
wonder
took early
why.
retirement. No, I'm joking.
No, I didn't.
He was a great teacher.
Yeah. But he directed loads and loads of plays within loads and loads of plays. But, he was a fantastic whale goer. There was, when they talk about when somebody dies, a library dies with them.
Yes.
But that really, there was nothing he didn't have a huge amount of knowledge on.
Yeah,
And
and such a passion for it, really.
Yeah, and a really easygoing manner about him. He kind of, I think he saw something in people they didn't know they have themselves. And he kind of get it out. He was a fantastic man. Yeah.
That's people. I mean, for me, even growing up in Carrick-on-Shore, the drama, like today, I know with our 3 kids, you pay a lot of money to send your kids to go and have lessons, at a drama school. Yeah. This was all for free. It was just
free,
people who completely dedicated themselves for
Oh,
the love of
That's the thing about the brewery. Nobody gets paid in the brewery. All the money goes back into the theatre.
Yeah, and the love of it.
Great, yeah.
Finbarr, you tried did you ever try your hand at a bit of acting? Was there some story about a play you were involved in?
There was. It was a few stories. There was, there was one in Dungarvan where we were doing Juno and the Paycock, and I was one of the furniture removal men. I had a very small part,
Right.
and someone wasn't able to make it, and I can't even remember the exact details, but to make a long story short, somebody said a line who didn't normally say it, and they said it in a kind of funny way, and I started laughing. And I was up against the set.
This is coming back to me now.
and the
Someone
whole
said,
set.
"You put the wind up me."
They put the wind up me the way you did that. Yeah. And,
you said that.
And someone said that. I didn't say it. And but whatever way they
It just tickled you.
It just tickled me, and I started laughing, and I was leaning up against the set, and the whole set started moving. I think there's a few of us. We all started moving.
Well, yeah, it's
The whole thing
infectious
started
then, of
moving.
course, when you start corpsing.
Of course, yeah.
Everyone starts. But now
Well, I remember you had another line. You go to work. Remember that one? There was one line. It was, what will I do? You go to work.
No, you go to
You
work.
go to work.
You go
The emphasis.
I was trying every line. Yeah. The thing about it is that I was never on stage for long enough in any play. I would have one line and I'd be off. So I was constantly terrified. I'm constantly nervous. And then, because, and I didn't even associate it with the Brewery Lane, but I remember for the Clancy Festival going down and, you know, somebody said, well, we're having a night, come down. And I said, okay, I'll go down and do a couple of songs. And I walked out on stage and it's like all the fright and all the memories of all. The last time I was on the stage and I walked out and next thing I thought, I haven't rehearsed these songs. I know nothing.
It's like one of those nightmares.
Blank. And I know those people in the audience that I knew well, they were looking at me going, what are you so nervous for? You're playing on the stage every night. But it was just, I suppose it was two part. Number one, I was back in the brewery, which, you know,
the scene of the crime.
The scene of the nervousness. But number two, it was just, I kind of had taken for granted I'd sing this song and I'd sing that song. And I actually didn't rehearse the songs. And they weren't songs I sang in a while. So I was singing in the middle of the song thinking, what's the next verse? What's the next word to the verse even? But then in the last millisecond would pop into your head and you'd be okay. But the sweat and bullets between that.
Well, you haven't done too badly for yourself, Finbarr, at the end of it all. And you're underselling yourself because I know you do a nice little version of Finnegan's Wake.
Finnegan's Wake?
Or the piece into it.
Oh,
well,
give us a taste of it.
I think Finbarr could have been a very good actor if he'd had a bit of confidence about it, because he's fabulous impressions.
Thank you very much.
You can do any accent and impersonate anyone. But
that was a family favourite. We'd sit around impersonating. And some people think that's, but it's not. We were just fascinated. Fascinated with characters and how people would speak and express themselves, and so it does really.
Some people get insulted then when you do it.
Oh, stop!
You kind of go, gee, happened a couple of times.
But the thing is, that not all. I'm an actor, and I've been an actor, and I wasn't a great,
I'd be the same. I wouldn't be great.
And with accents, I had to work at it, and then you come across these guys, and Finbarr and Aideen and Aoife, great.
I think Aideen's the best, actually. Our sister Aideen is the best impersonator. She's really good. Give us a taste of into.
Oh God, see if I can remember this now. I remember I had it off it, so if I stop,
that's fine.
Forgive me.
And this is the one that Tom used to do, isn't it?
Tom used to do it, but when I had the opportunity, my dad had a quadruple bypass operation in September of '95. I was asked to go in his stead on the tour of America. It was about 5 or 6 states.
So if you were nervous going onto the brewery lane in front of the carry crowd.
I know, I remember walking into the hotel room and like all the uncles were there and I was like, oh, okay, I'm in the major leagues here now. But they were great. But Liam used to recite this every night before we do Finnegan's Wake. And at the end of the tour, I kind of knew it. But that was back in 1996. So let's see if I can still remember. I think you start off, there's where first we passed through grass, be hush, the bush, to wish. A gull, gulls, coming far, end here, us then, Finnegan. Remember me till thousands thee, alone, alas, aloved, along, the river run past even Adam from swerve of shore to bend of bay, takes us by a commodious vicus of recirculation back to Howth Castle and environs. Big Mr. Finnegan of the stuttering hand, free man's moral, brought up in the broadest way imaginable, and he's rush-lit too far back from Messuages before Joshua and Judges had given us numbers or Helviticus had committed Deuteronomy. During mighty odd years, this man of hot cementing edifices in Toper's Torp piled bildong, super bildong, on the banks of the livers for the so-and-sos, a woolworth of a skyscraper of the most Eiffel height, entirely originating from next to nothing, with a burning bush abob its bubble top, with Lawrence O'Toole's clithering up and Thomas O'Bucket's clottering down. The first was he to bear arms and a name, Wassily Boozelier of Gizengaburn. Aha, Mr. Finn, you're going to be fined again. Aha, Mr. Fun, you're going to be Mr. Finn again. But dim he stuttered from the lather, and damned he was dud. Tim Finnegan. Actually, and damned he was dud. That was it. Tim Finnegan lived in Wanwood.
Yeah, fabulous.
So I think,
Hey, maybe that's one for the Clancy Festival in Carrick-on-Shore, Brewery Lane, 2025.
Yeah.
Exactly,
That'd be an idea.
Yeah, we're there. We're there. The Hikings were playing there. Yeah, we're doing it.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, we're doing it,
Yeah,
so
good
looking
stuff.
forward to it.
Yeah.
Great. Been a while since we did it.
So I'm thinking, as we mentioned Tom Nealon there, and what a great contributor he was to Brewery Lane and how much it meant to all of us growing up. If we could dedicate your last song to Tom, wouldn't that be nice?
Absolutely.
You have another one for us, lads, have you?
Yeah.
We have as many as you want.
Here all night.
Did you want to do?
We should do the Town of Ballybay. Would you have
Do the Town of Ballybay, yeah. Go on,
Yeah, just I remember you saying that, a lot of the ballads are kind of sad and tragic, but it's nice to have a little...
It is an uplifting one now.
a little bit of a funny one kind of
Exactly.
thing. Written by Tommy Makem.
It was written by Tommy Makem.
It's written by Tommy
And we had
Makem,
Rory
yeah.
Makem on
Yeah,
the kitchen with us a while ago.
I think the words are great in this one anyway.
Yeah, we'll stop first.
Yeah, okay. In the town of Ballybeg, there was a lassie dwelling. I knew her very well, and her stories worth the telling. Her father kept her still, and he was a good distiller. But when it came to drink, should the divin wouldn't kill her. With me ring-a-ding-a-dong, a ring-a-ding-a-daddy-o, a ring-a-ding-a-dong, a whack for the addy-o, row-de-dow-de-doo-di-dum.
Well, she had a wooden leg, 'twas hollow down the middle. She used to put a string in it and play it like a fiddle. She fiddled in the hall, she fiddled in the alley. She didn't give a damn, 'cause she had the fiddle anyway.
With me ring-a-ding-a-dong, a ring-a-ding-a-daddy-o, a ring-a-ding-a-dong, a whack for the addy-o, row-de-dow-de-doo-di-dum. She said she couldn't dance unless she had her wellies on, and when she had them on, she could dance as well as anyone. She wouldn't go to bed unless she had her shimmy on, and when she had it on, she could go as well as anyone. A ring-a-ding-a-dong, a ring-a-ding-a-daddy-o, a ring-a-ding-a-dong, a whack for the addy-o, row-de-dow-de-doo-di-dum.
She had lovers by the score, every Tom and Dick and Harry. She was courting night and day, but still she wouldn't marry. And then she fell in love with the fella with the stammer, and when he tried to run away, she hit him with the hammer.
When me ring-a-ding-a-dong, a ring-a-ding-a-daddy-o, a ring-a-ding-a-dong, a whack for the addy-o, row-de-dow-de-doo-di-dum. She had children up the stairs, she had children by the byre, and another 10 or 12 sitting roaring by the fire. She fed them on potatoes and the soup she made from nettles, and lumps of hairy bacon that she boiled up in the kettle. With me ring-a-ding-a-dong, a ring-a-ding-a-daddy-o, a ring-a-ding-a-dong, a whack for the addy-o, row-de-dow-de-doo-di-dum. Oh, she led a sheltered life, eating porridge and black pudding. She terrorised your man until he died right sudden. And when the husband died, she was feeling very sorry. So she put him in a bag and she rolled him in the quarry. With me ring-a-ding-a-dong, with me ring-a-ding-a-daddy-o, a ring-a-ding-a-dong, a whack for the addy-o. With me ring-a-ding-a-dong, a ring-a-ding-a-daddy-o, a ring-a-ding-a-dong, a whack for the addy-o, row-de-dow-de-doo-di-dum.
Oh, do you know something? Tom Nealon would get a great kick out of that one. That's fabulous. Great stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, our Uncle Liam Clancy was one of the founding members of the drama group.
That's
in
right,
Carrick,
he was. Yeah, he was the original founding member, really, because it was all his idea to put on the play by the Western World.
Was it?
And he directed and played the lead himself, Christy Mahan,
Very good.
And apparently it was hugely successful,
And so this is long before kind of the Clancy Brothers.
Oh, it was before,
started.
way before he was only, I think he was only 18 or 19.
Yeah.
He'd gone to Dublin, he was working in insurance or something in Dublin, and he came back and he'd seen a bit of theatre up in Dublin and got the bug.
Yeah,
Was
that's
Liam
right.
Hogan involved as well?
Liam Hogan was involved,
Liam Hogan.
and
Teacher and Carrick
teacher.
and Shore.
Peg then
of
played
course.
Peggy and Mike. Played
Peggy and Mike, I remember Liam saying before, he said, we went off and did our play by the Western World to world tour, he says, which comprised doing it in Carrick, going to Clonmel and come back to Carrick again.
20 minutes up the road.
20 minutes up the road,
Their international tour.
Their international tour.
That was there would have been a lot of the musical society would have been going a lot longer, but that was the first drama that was done in Carrick.
Yeah, and of course our mother Myra was very involved.
Very involved.
With
That's
Tom
right.
Nealon, in actual fact,
With Tom
in a
Nealon,
big play,
The Honey Spike.
The
Honey Spike.
Honey Spike was a huge
Huge
one,
hit, yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'd say Tom's favourite one because he was he did a lot of editing on it because he was friends with Brian McMahon who wrote the Honey Spike, and Tom did a lot of editing on it.
Yeah.
And they got to the All Ireland final with it as well.
I remember that. I remember somebody shouting up at all hours of the morning, Myra, we got into, what was it, not Doonbeg, but Athlone. We got into Athlone. And I remember Daddy actually singing that beautiful song, A Freeborn Man of the Travelling People. I remember him opening with that piece.
And a lot of the travellers came to see it.
Yeah,
the
that's
audience,
right.
yeah.
And I've told you this before, and he's going to kill me for bringing it up again. But I remember at the time, you were only a little fella, and Finbarr and I were in the audience, and my mother, Myra, was playing the part of the travelling woman, and it was a tradition within the travelling community to go back and give birth, I think, in the place where you were born, or there was some very strong tradition like that, and that was brought out in the play. And in the play, she died then of childbirth. And this little fecker next to me, he was only about 3 at the time, and I was supposed to be minding him, jumped up because Mammy, playing the part of the traveller woman, had died in the play. This fella goes, "Mammy's dead! Mammy's dead!" And I'm going, "Shut up! Sit down!"
Actually, I remember getting that. Yeah, like at some stage, they walked out. How's whatever character's name was. She's dead, and I go, and I was inconsolable. I bawled, crying. They had to bring me back. Stop the play. Stop everything. To bring me back. They had to bring me backstage, and there she is, alive. I was like, I was inconsolable. Yeah.
That was the guy's. I remember Peg telling me as well with Kevin, my brother Kevin. She was playing the part of a murderer or something, and she said she came home from the play. You could see her looking at her.
Are we safe?
Are we safe with this woman?
And it was lovely.
Do you remember in the new theatre in Cardiff, and I was playing Laertes in Hamlet, and there's a big sword fight with Hamlet at the end. Of course, he kills Laertes. And Kiva was upset, remember?
Our daughter, she was only a little one at the time.
Of course,
Thinking Daddy had been,
Well, it's a good sign.
Run through.
At least you're believable anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember actually, because St. Patrick's Day, of course, was always a day where people would go, the parades around the town. And I remember them being up on the horse and trap, what do you call it? The horse and
trap, yeah.
Trap. Yeah, as dressed up as travellers. That memory stands out. Yeah. And of course, Finbarr, you toured then with the brothers for a while, as you said earlier.
I did. I toured when in January of 1996 we went on a national tour. It was kind of farewell tour, and it was amazing. It was all over Ireland. In fact, Dad had come back at that stage because he'd recovered from his quadruple bypass, but they said, because at this stage, myself and Collie were doing all these songs, original rock songs, in keys that were way up there, and I used to do high harmony. So I started doing all these high harmonies to Clancy Brothers songs, and the lads loved it. They were like, "We want you to keep going, like stay on stage. So what can you do?" And I said, "Well, I play bass as well." So you have a very out of place looking bass player in an orange sweater, doing high harmonies on the farewell tour in it's on YouTube as well.
So did you
the Regal Theatre in Clonmel? Yeah, I was there and playing my precision bass and doing high harmonies.
Did you do high harmonies too, like the Jug of Punch and those kind of stuff?
No, not Jug of Punch. Was on its own. Yeah, but, yeah.
Did you do the Jug of Punch?
We did the Jug of Punch, and it's amazing because Paddy Clancy, of course, was that song will always be associated with Paddy. He was just talk about having I think all the Clancys had it. And I was on stage with him every night, and he told the same story. But even I was spellbound. Listening to it every night. He just had a way of telling a story and the dramatic pauses and all that.
What was the story?
You absolutely.
The story going into the Jug of Punch.
Any story. Even
no matter what he was
talking about. It wasn't there was a specific story that he told before the Jug of Punch, but it's just he just had a delivery and a way of telling a story, any story, or even talking, that would have you on the edge of your seat. He'd kind of leave things hanging in the air, and you're like, and then what happened?
Yeah.
But yeah, to see the effect. It's one of these great things to see, the effect a well-crafted song can have on an audience. And when he sang Jug of Punch every night, you could really see the audience drawn in, And it starts off very slowly and then it kind of slowly builds and,
Go on, give us
Would you like to hear
taste.
it? Yeah,
That'd be
I'll
lovely.
give it, yeah.
Give us a taste.
This is for Paddy.
Memory of Paddy
All the
Clancy.
Paddy, Tom, Liam and Bobby, all of them. One pleasant evening in the month of June, as I was sitting with my glass and spoon, a small bird sat on an ivy bush, and the song he sang was the jug of punch. Tooraloo-raloo, tooraloo-ralay, tooraloo-raloo, tooraloo-ralay. A small bird sat on an ivy bush, and the song he sang was the jug of punch. What more diversion can a man desire than to sit him down, oh, beside the fire? Upon his knee a pretty wench, I had on the table a jug of punch. Tooraloo-raloo, tooraloo-ralay, tooraloo-raloo, tooraloo-ralay. Upon his knee a pretty wench, I had on the table a jug of punch. Let the doctors come with all their art, they will make no impression upon my heart. Even the cripple forgets his hunch when he's snug outside of a jug of punch. Tooraloo-raloo, tooraloo-ralay, tooraloo-raloo, tooraloo-ralay. Even the cripple forgets his hunch when he's snug outside of a jug of punch. When if I get drunk, well, me money's me own, and them don't like me, they can leave me alone. I'll tune me fiddle and I'll rosin me bow, and I'll be welcome wherever I go. Tooraloo-raloo, tooraloo-ralay, tooraloo-raloo, tooraloo-ralay. I'll tune me fiddle and I'll rosin me bow, and I'll be welcome wherever I go. And when I'm dead I end in my grave, no costly tombstone will I have. Just lay me down in my native peat, with a jug of punch at my head and feet. And tooraloo-raloo, tooraloo-ralay, tooraloo-raloo, tooraloo-ralay. Just lay me down in my native peat, with a jug of punch at my head and feet.
What a fabulous one to finish up on. Well,
Thank
listen,
you.
Finbarr and Colm, colleague to us.
Yeah.
You're just so welcome here. We could go on forever and ever. It's been absolutely lovely, and we're going to have you back with more stories and songs again.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming in
Raylan,
to Clancy's Kitchen. So join us next time on Clancy's Kitchen for more stories and songs and crack. We hope to see you again. Take care. Slán go fóill.